Hey everybody, how we doing? Hope you're good. It's gonna be a bit of a divisive one, I think, this evening. It's gonna be good. So, yeah, Ouija boards. um, I know, obviously, with this kind of audience that I've got here, you lovely people at home, I'm pretty sure that most of you, or maybe nearly all of you, be very skeptical of Ouija boards. However, I know from previous experience and from talking to lots of people over a lot of time, over many, many years, it still people still fear it. And also people have had weird, mad experiences with Ouija boards, which they believe are absolutely genuine. Now, welcome along, everybody. Hope we're doing. Hope you're good. As ever, tonight, like I say, no guests. I just want your opinions on Ouija boards. You know, where do they work? Do they not work? And particularly if you've ever had an experience with them where seemingly something has happened, whether that's information that's come through where you don't think it could possibly have been anybody from that you've been doing the Ouija board with, whether it's you, family members, or whatever. Or or has things happened in the location where you've been doing the Ouija board, and some things occurred whilst you were using it, which makes you think that maybe there is some kind of link to the paranormal. But welcome along, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I'll thank you very much for joining us. Hello, Jenny J, for joining us. First time catching a live stream. Hey, well done. Hello. Yes, so this lovely board. I'm not going to go too much into the history of this board. There's plenty that's been written and lots of podcasts about the history of it. Suffice to say that I suppose the popularity of the Ouija board came out of the 1800s originally, particularly from a rise in spiritualism in America, just after the American Civil War. Obviously, lots of deaths, rise in spiritualism. Same happened in the UK after the First World War. And I think originally they were called talking boards. I think they start off in Ohio. I'm sure Kenny Biddle will correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, who's in the chat. So, yeah, start off in Ohio. And then you had the likes of Elijah Bond in 1890, who's the first guy that patented what we now know as the mystifying oracle, this Ouija board. It's been going into different hands. I think it was Fold Brothers, was it? And then the Parker Brothers, and now it's essentially owned by Hasbro. So it is just a board game, essentially. So yeah, I think there's a lot of superstition around this. There's a lot of rubbish said about Ouija boards. There's an awful lot said, and I think movies have played a massive part in how people perceive these things. And obviously there's religious sensibilities and all of that kind of thing. Hello, everybody coming in. So I think what I'll do is just for anybody who does not realize I was never ever going to be talking about Ouija boards. Let me put it that way. Oh God, how many years ago now was it? 10 years ago, something like that. Myself and Dale, when we was part of a team called Paranormal Truth. Here is us, way back when, looking younger. We did a whole documentary about Ouija boards, and the whole premise of it was, and we took it from a very skeptical point of view. The whole premise of the whole documentary, which was on Amazon Prime and things like that, was that we would go to 10 of the most haunted locations in the country, trying to using a Ouija board in each of those 10 locations for, and I'm not kidding now, hours and hours in each location, with the feeling that if the Ouija board was ever going to move, work, if it's going to do something, it would happen in those haunted locations. That was our thing. That's what we wanted to prove. So before we did this documentary, we asked everybody on social media. We did surveys. What did people think of them? And it was very much split, really split, 50-50 essentially, but of yes, they're absolute rubbish. You know, it's just a board, bit of MDF board. They're only dangerous if you throw it at somebody's face. Right? There's those people. And the other half were saying, no, steer well clear. Won't want that in my home. Won't want to use it. Be careful. You don't know what it's going to bring forward. You may get an attachment. You may get this. You may get that. You've got to use it the right way. There's certain rules you've got to follow. It was really split. And I have a feeling that everybody in the chat, it'd be really interesting to see if there's still that kind of split in the chat. Probably not, because I know a lot of you guys are kind of quite skeptically minded. But yeah, so that's what we did. And to cut a very, very long story short, bugger all happened. And we were going into some meant to be supposedly really haunted places. And now, whether it's because we were very skeptically minded, but we went, but no, that's why nothing happened, right? Maybe and people were going, oh, well, you're not open to it. If you're not, you're not open to things, you've got to be more open-minded. You're doing the, you don't have the energies. You've got to start it in a particular way, or you've got to, get your energies up, and then it will work. And you've got to go around the board anti-clockwise or clockwise, or stupid number of things. But yeah, people going crazy on how we should do it. Bugger off, Peregrine F1. Had that jumper even then. How rude. Yes. No, that's a different jumper. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we went through the whole skeptical point. We visited the likes of parapsychologist Kieran O'Keefe at his university, Buckinghamshire University. We also went to go down to what's the word? I'm thinking of his university now. Goldman's? I can't remember now. Anyway, Professor Chris French's university down in London to interview them from an anomalistic psychology point of view and from a parapsychology view. Yeah, it was, what's that? Ouija boards crap. Yeah, I know, right? We spent hours and hours and hours trying to get these bloody things to work. And yeah, bugger all. Now, obviously, just go back to this one. Obviously, the parapsychologists and the psychologists will tell you, and anybody who's ever read upon Ouija boards will tell you, this is nothing more than the ideomotor effect. Unconscious micromuscular movements of your fingers that are actually making that planchette spell out certain letters. Now, that is the pure psychology, skeptical point of view. There is nothing going on other than the ideomotor effect. That is it. But people, this, I don't know, the fear of these things is still out there, massively so. And I think I can pin this down to this film, The Exorcist. Right, and because I think this was the first really popular horror movie which involved a Ouija board, and obviously with the Ouija board, things like this eventually happened. And after that, it became a huge deal for everybody, and that's why there's this massive fear. So, absolutely tonight, I'm not going to be waffling on for much longer. I just want to know what you think. All your ideas, whether you've, like I said, particularly if you've used it. If you haven't used it, do you fear to use it? Would you have one in your home? Would you get one out? That's one of the rules. There are many rules. Apparently, one of the rules is never to use it in your home, which I've never really understood. So let me just I'll get the overlay chat. So that way, on the overlay, if you're watching on TV, you can anyway. So here's everyone's chat coming in. So Beardo say, good evening, Beardo. What happens when the ideomotor effect doesn't explain my experience? Yeah, that's the thing is, I came from, when I first got into this, I first saw Ouija boards being used at a ghost event company. And I saw people using a Ouija board and other weird stuff happened. I've also seen people use Ouija boards when they are convinced that the information that they are getting cannot possibly have been known by anybody using that board. Now, there was one point, there's a place called Mill Street Barracks where we did a ghost event. And I can remember watching some guests, because as team leaders, we didn't use Ouija boards. We let the guests use them. So there was a point when the guests were using a Ouija board, and they were coming out of all this information. They were getting dates and names and all those kinds of things. And it seemed really, really genuine. They were shook up by the amount of detail that was coming through the board, because it seemed to make sense. There seemed to be a lot going on. What they didn't know is afterwards I did a bit of research into it, and none of those dates and none of those names existed, because they're meant to be military numbers, and so I did a bit of research, and yeah, they didn't tally. So surprise, surprise, I suppose. Anyway, let's have a look at. Like I say, I'm just going to highlight some people who I just spotted. So we wanted some people to do a Ouija board at a Most Haunted live event years ago. They contacted someone called Keith, supposed to be gay and killed for it. They asked his age when he died, apparently 3 months old. Right. Yeah. Okay. That's it. I mean, the one thing I suppose that I've seen is my grandparents used them. I mean, some of you at home, your grandparents may have used them. It was just a parlor game, and nobody saw a great big deal in it in the 60s and 70s. It was just a bit of fun. I've never used one. Both parents have been terrified of it to this day. My working theory is just your subconscious. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I heard, what's this one? James saying, I heard nobody should throw one away. It should be buried a foot down. Yeah, I've heard that it should be disposed of properly. I've not heard the 1 foot down thing, but yeah, it's amazing how much myth surrounds these things. Generally tried making one when I was younger with plywood and a soldering iron. As expected, bugger all happened. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I am open for anybody who had a genuine experience, or they feel they've had a genuine experience, because when stuff weird happens with a Ouija board, it can be, and I've seen it happen, people get genuinely scared and frightened of it. So it is fascinating. I've done a couple of them, both with a haunted company. So you're doing them with strangers. I would like to believe in them, but haven't experienced anything to change my mind. Thank you, Amanda. What's Tim saying? So massive warm, as if it's warm. Welcome to all this. Thank you very much, Tim, for doing that. Yeah, please do share your Ouija board experiences. Hey, Weird Fox. Good evening, Lou. Okay, my one and only Ouija board fact and comment. They spell out stuff people want it to say. If they do it with lights out, eyes shut, etc., get absolute gobbledygook. Bollock board. Yeah. I can remember the lovely Kieran, and I'm name dropping again here. The lovely Kieran was telling me how during a Most Haunted episode, they were using a Ouija board, and he asked them to be blindfolded. And so they whoever was doing it, they blindfolded. I don't know who it was, probably Carl, Yvette, whoever. He blindfolded them. Then he used the Ouija board with them. But whilst they were blindfolded, he turned the Ouija board upside down, because obviously his theory was, well, if ghosts are doing it, then ghosts will know it's been turned upside down. So therefore, the message should still make sense. But obviously they didn't. And after he did that, I'm fairly confident I'm fairly confident thinking that didn't make the edit. Surprise, surprise. Hey, Diane. So I know of an incident, but sadly not my story to tell, and the nature of it could be distressing, that only bad and possibly something in its story I'm aware of. Okay, well that's fine. That's fair enough, Diane. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people use a Ouija board, and then stuff has happened in the room. I think actually Weird Fox might have been there. It was at the Old Nick Theatre in Gainsborough, when two people were using a Ouija board, then a digital camera battery got thrown whilst he was using the Ouija board, because the person was quite skeptical and saying, come on, I don't believe you exist, do something. And something got thrown at him. So I remember that, and that was kind of interesting, but I don't think that was necessarily linked to them using a Ouija board. Idiomotor effect does explain a lot. What about when stuff is said is later proven correct, but there was no reason for anyone to believe that would happen or have the result it did? Yeah, that's fair enough, Pam. The other thing hello, hang on a minute. Fantastic. Good evening, Fantastic. Hey, Sarah. I've been a member for 5 months. I'm skeptical of them, but wouldn't chance it, to be honest. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I get that. I think I had to use them a lot for that documentary, and I've got to say, initially you're like, ooh, but actually when you start using them, you think, oh, there's nothing in this. There was nothing going on, and maybe that's just my personal experience. But yeah, interesting. I have a family story that my mum told me from the 1960s, 70s. It really caused problems for them. A very devout Catholic family too. Yeah, I think certain denominations of Christianity are very, very much against the use of Ouija boards because they see it as some form of occult practice. And yeah, so if they're a devout Catholic, then they're not going to take kindly to that. So I've tried one the last 2 years. It's never moved. By my experience, absolutely traumatized. But by my experience, absolutely traumatized me and my group of friends. I can remember just going on that point. When we were interviewing Kieran O'Keefe a long time ago, for that documentary, he said in that documentary, we said, should we use the Ouija board? And he said no, because, and he was coming from a purely psychological point of view. He was there going, if you truly believe that something demonic could come through a Ouija board, then you should absolutely not do it, because if you truly believe that it could happen, then why would I push you into thinking that something like that could happen? It's very much psychological, very, very much. Okay, Mike Larry, good evening. I've heard a disproportionately high number of stories from various people saying that at the end, the glass flew off the board, did something impossible, like flying up the wall, then smashed. Yeah, that never happened for us, but I have heard that a few times. There is, or there used to be, a few examples that I've seen of something like that happen on video. But I've not seen that recently, I've got to say. Not seen it recently. Good evening, Roger. There were cards called Lexicon, which could be laid out like a Ouija board. There are some in the house somewhere. Okay. Yeah, I think that's how my dad, as a kid, because, this is the kind of thing I did. My dad, I think, showed me how to do a Ouija board with bits of paper. And I think, and an upturned wine glass or whatever it was. So, yeah, that's the same kind of thing. Doesn't matter whether it's on bits of paper or on an actual board. It's very much into board games in the 60s and 70s, but nobody got out a Ouija board. I wouldn't have joined in, though. Yeah, I mean, the incident I remember with my grandparents was my grandparents and my aunties and uncles got together in the 60s and 70s, used a Ouija board over a couple of drinks, saw it as entertainment, saw it as a bit of fun. And yeah, it was just a parlor game. There was nothing demonic or evil about it. It was just a bit of fun. So I think we've definitely lost that sense with Ouija boards now. My husband said after using with him and his friends saw a black dog with no paws. Oh, behind me, Jenny. That's very weird. Very weird. Hey, Special Ed. I get the micromuscular subconscious movement of the planchette, but how are specific letters and numbers arrived at? Is there also a subconscious decision as to where to stop the planchette? Yeah, absolutely, I think. I think the way that we were told was that if you for instance, if the board spells out a J and an O and then a H, then whoever may be subconsciously or unconsciously kind of moving that planchette, everybody then using that board is then subconsciously thinking, oh, the next one's going to be an N. So they are subconsciously moving it to the N. So I know what you mean, though. What is making it stop at certain letters and where is it coming from? So yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things where somebody is unconscious. I think, is it unconscious, unconsciously moving it, and then and this could be some dormant memory. This could be some dormant name. It could just be something they're making up as they go along. It's the expectation, I think, that makes people have these messages that get spelled out. It's the expectation of, if they've heard about a particular person in a particular haunted location, that expectation is planted in their mind. Therefore, they're more likely to spell out that name. Okay, we were playing it as a game, goofing around as kids. It predicted a car accident. The driver, he would be in critical condition and live. It was scary. That happened about 3 weeks later. Wow, Pam. That's very weird. Tim saying I've been used. I've been used. I've used been in a group, obviously, and although I was nervous about it, I was disappointed as it was just horseshite, possibly down to the people I was with. I mean, to say genuine experiences. Yeah, absolutely. Kaza, oh bless your heart. Thank you so much for the gifted 20 memberships. I'm sorry I've only just got to it because the chat's going quite quick. Thank you so much, Kaza. Bless your heart. Thank you so much. And if you received any of those memberships, please say a big thank you to Kaza. She is absolute star. So thank you so much for that. Okay. It's going to go down. Yeah, Fear the Living Pod. Ouija is amazing when you think about it. Difficult to spell things usually don't do well. Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting one is obviously, try doing it blindfolded. Try mixing up the letters and still seeing if they make sense. As I think Chris French was saying, if that happens, then contact him. Because he's you're saying mix it up. Somebody else mix it up. Mix all the letters up if it's on bits of paper. Blindfold the people. Turn it upside down. Whatever. Or what he did was, I know I've seen it where you turn the paper upside down on a glass table, and then put a camera underneath the table to record where the planchette goes to, if that makes sense. So you're facing the camera up on a glass table, but the people doing it can't see what the letters are. Yeah, if that works, like I said, contact Professor Chris French because he'd very much like to know about it. Weird Fox, most people get up, drink coffee, and stagger through their day. I said, Kaza gets up, gifts, and bless her. Yeah, absolutely. Bless us all their generosity. Absolutely. Hey there, Hamato. Good evening. I also have experiences from when I was mid-teens. It felt like something was happening, but who knows? I think that's the thing is, anybody who's used a Ouija board and stuff has happened, there is like that, oh, fuck moment. Now, because I'm old and craggy and skeptical, I know what's going on. But anybody who does like a ghost event, for instance, and that starts to happen on a Ouija board, it is a genuinely weird experience because if you've never done a Ouija board, when you actually put your fingers on it and it does start to seem to have a movement, and you're there and you're turning your finger over and just using your nail and it's still moving, it is a genuinely very, very weird experience. And I can see why people link it to the paranormal. I properly can. Okay, I remember in Step 2 of the old man and mocking Harold used a Ouija board and made contact with Hitler. It's about like you are a silly tit. I've not seen that one. Oh, I love Step 2 and Son. I used to love Step 2. Good evening, Sam Hain. Let's have a look. Lustrous, good evening to you. I'm going to try and get through some of these chats. I know it's going quite quickly. It's a game invented by the Victorians, much like the trickery conjured up by illusionists in theatres around that time. Like many magic tricks, it's just cardboard and imagination, nothing more. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it all came about from the American Civil War, and then it just continued. Val, our parish priest years ago, had to bring a few lads into the church after they messed with the board. They were given some lectures and the priest had to pray and do the holy stuff till they calmed. Yeah, I mean, one thing I do find interesting actually is certain places which are meant to be haunted ban, like 30 East Drive, sorry for mentioning it, like 30, they have banned the Ouija board from being used, which even though, skeptically thinking, well, why? Why ban it? But, I suppose you just got to respect the owner's wishes, I suppose. Anybody I've missed, I'm so sorry, but thank you for coming in. Yep. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing that, Lou. Good evening, Mrs. Geek. So no way would I do a board. My husband has brought his in and I said I'd never have one in the house, but it's in the box. So I gave in. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's like I bought my daughter a Ouija board. I think it was for Christmas. She was really happy. I think it was more of a decorative thing, though. They look kind of cool. And I don't think she'd use it, but I think it just looks good, doesn't it? So look, when I had my experience, my grandmother told me the same thing happened to my mum, and apparently the garage window blew out. That's interesting. I remember my nan telling me that when they used a Ouija board once, they had one of these wooden drinks cabinets. You know, ones with they where the door would slide open, and then all the drinks would be inside and stuff like that. Very 60s, 70s thing. And I remember they were in contact with somebody and on a Ouija board, and they said, "Could you prove that you're here?" And then this door of this drinks cabinet slammed down and then slammed back up again. So maybe there is something going on. Is Mr. Biddle, who's probably in the chat listening, can he explain it all? Is it all explainable? Is it purely just the idiomotor effect? Or could there possibly be something else going on? Right, some kids in our class tried to summon the bloke who used to do This Is Your Life as he just died. They got into bother, and the teacher said it could have serious repercussions for the school. He's just seeing the headlines there. Definitely seeing the headlines. Good evening, Catherine Lawrence. Oh, hang on. Just popping in very quickly to say hi from the Aegean Sea, currently docked in Naxos Island in Greece. Oh, that makes me feel a bit jealous, I've got to say. I have seen a Ouija board do good once. My sister and her friends even had a chanting and drumming sound, lights flickering, and for months after the house, they did it in, had observed objects moving. This is what I'm talking about. So Spookfest, is there a possibility that, and I know that, that is there a possibility that Ouija boards can, even if it's not the messages themselves, could it possibly draw paranormal activity towards you or to the house, to the location you're doing it in? Okay, Beard, it's because of your story that why I would ever allow that devil board in my house. Fair enough. Good evening, Dawn. Used a Ouija board once in my life and I didn't care for it. Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't see much harm in them, I've got to say. We, like I said, for the documentary thing, we went to 10 different places, spent hours and hours and hours using Ouija boards trying to get stuff to work. And by the time we got to part 3 of the documentary on the 9th and 10th, or however many location we went to, we were so bored because nothing was going on. You imagine just sitting there for hours trying to get something to work on a Ouija board and nothing. My mother said as a youngster, she used it, and when she used it, and when asking if anyone wanted to communicate, the planchette went to no. I guess their ghosts were snobs. Could be. Oh, okay, Jenny. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, some people are dead against it. Yeah, I might be persuaded to use a Ouija board if someone paid me $1 million. Yeah, that's all right. I would do it for a lot less. I'd do it for a lot less. So, hey, Spange, thank you for being a member for 8 months. Message, almost got my baby monkey. Nice. I'm personally scared to death of them, says Shannon. Let's go. I am just trying to. The chat is going along quite quickly, so I'm just trying to get through as many as I can, as quickly as I can, I'm afraid. Yeah, I get this point, Roger. For something that's sold alongside Monopoly, it raises questions. Did any factory employees take one home and experience anything? Yeah. I mean, it's Hasbro, so it is. They obviously see no harm in it. So yeah. They used a Ouija board at a local event, filming it. It was obvious one of the team was deliberately moving it. Yeah, we had that as well. We had a guest used one of the Ouija boards with us at one location. That was in De Grey Street in Hull, and it was clearly the owner pushing it, the owner of the house. The last Ouija board I did was back in November at Bodmin Jail. It was obvious one person was pushing it, so I suggested we all put the back of our fingers on it. It then lifted. Okay, that's very interesting. I do find it more interesting when people try to not put fingertips down onto it, but actually try to do it just on the nails. I tell you what would be really interesting. Kenny, if you're still in the chat, have you... Obviously, I've only seen people do testing with micromuscular idiomotor effect with the fingertips on a glass or on the planchette. I've not seen it move or been tested with just nails lightly touching, which is what a lot of people do tend to do. So it'll be interesting whether it has exactly the same effect or whether it's diminished in any way. Good evening, Drew. Back in the day after school, a few of us used the Ouija board often. I think when you're a teenager, you're kind of more likely to do it, because it's that danger thing, So yeah, I think it's definitely a teenage thing. I mean, I'm understand of the micro movements in science, but I think I'm still tempted to have a go. All right, good, yeah. Like I said, I've done it quite a lot of times and never had anything bad happen to me. But I'm a bit more conscious of what is actually going on. Hello, all you beautiful crazy people. I'm grooming my cat and listening. Much love to you all. How old is Justin to know his aunts did Ouija boards in the 60s and 70s? Very old. Now I'm 48. Let's go. So Spookfest. So the drumming and chanting and lights flickering is on camera. It's an old high 8 tape. I've got to find which tape, though. Have it transferred to DVD. That'd be cool. That'd be cool if you can find that. That'd be amazing. So Spookfest, definitely. Send it in. And if, by the way, because I'm trying to skip through as many as I can, I apologize now if I don't get throughout everybody. So please don't hurt me. Not done Ouija before. Mentioned we did the glass thing and it moved. Very odd, and I still can't convince myself it wasn't a spook. Yeah, I mean that like I said before, it's when it happens and you're doing it, and if you're not very used to doing a Ouija board, has a very profound effect. It feels like something is moving that planchette or that glass that is not you, and yeah, that can be very, very disconcerting. Okay, genuinely can feel very disconcerting. Right, I'm not trying. I'm not against trying things, but just enough validation from what is used anyway. Go. Hey, Lynn68. What makes it worse than scare people with Ouija is all these channels saying it summons nothing but demons all the time. Yeah. Do you remember the whole Zozo thing? I think so. I've seen a couple of people talk about Zozo. The whole Zozo demon thing and Ouija boards was mad for a few years. Absolutely nuts for a few years. And that was all. And it didn't help that the big paranormal channels, the big fake, essentially, paranormal channels were pushing Zozo, pushing demonic and using Ouija boards and making out things were going and obviously faking stuff and making things much scarier than it actually was. But yeah, the whole Zozo thing was just nuts for a while. But yeah, absolutely right. Cree Storm, good evening. Have you ever seen Scotty the medium use a Ouija board? How does it that the Shanley regularly and I said how does it? He does it at the Shanley or the Stanley Hotel regularly, and I've never seen a planchette move so fast in my life. I'm sure it's all real. Yeah, I've never had a planchette, by the way, fly off the table, and I've done this as well because you try different things out. When you're at a haunted location, and I regularly would say, if there is genuinely anything here, move that glass without me touching it, or move the planchette. I don't want to touch it. Move on its own. If there's a ghost here and you want to get in contact with me, and you can push things around, push that planchette without my fingers on it. Funnily enough, never happened, never worked. Weird that. So I'll let you smell the pressure they applied meant lifted up a bit opposite to her. Clear indication she was pushing too hard. Yeah, it reminds me of the whole Most Haunted episode where you can see her pushing it and the tablecloth moving. It's amazing. Anyone remember trying to draw a board out on the path as kids? I don't know if I did that. Did I do that? I think I did that with bits of paper. I don't think I drew it on the pavement. But yeah, it's definitely a thing. Still view it as mostly a laugh. I don't buy into the demons and all the rules. It's a game that came in a cardboard box. Thank you, Pam. Yeah, absolutely. Luigi board. Idiomator effect. Let's have a look at JT's. I was present in a Ouija board session. We were kids. We made contact with someone called Edward. Seriously, that's the best old-fashioned name they can imagine. I don't recall what Eddie said. Yeah, I know, and I think that goes back to the whole, the expectation and the suggestion thing. You're there at a particular place expecting an old name, and lo and behold, an old name comes through the board. Yeah. So I will say I don't trust any Ouija board footage online, Personal experience is a bit different. Yeah. And I mean, I mean, I would genuinely, if you're interested in this kind of subject and curious, and you've never done a Ouija board, and if you go to a ghost event company, for pure interest sake, even if you don't want to do it yourself, watch others do it. It's fascinating, genuinely fascinating, what's going on. And then if you feel brave enough, have a go at doing it, and so you can feel the effect of it, because it's interesting. Let's put it that way. They found Ouija boards in ancient Chinese archaeological dig from 1100 AD, and they found them from long ago. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think talking boards certainly are very, very old, of different types, and the people have always been trying to contact the dead for thousands of years. So it's not surprising, I don't think, particularly. Let's have a look. What's Pam said? Oops, come on then. Come on. Oh my! I do find it interesting that some people that had experiences had it happen as youngsters and teens. Yeah, I think it's just absolutely. I think it's just a thing for teenagers to try. I mean, they can't have alcohol, so they get a Ouija board, something dangerous or edgy. I'm fascinated by Ouija boards. I've been doing them since I was a teen, and there's been a few times that it's defied any known logical explanation. I don't subscribe to them being demonic, though. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can. There have been occasions when I've met people. One of the most interesting ones I had was I met a guy who said that he witnessed a Ouija board session where a group of people who he didn't know was using the Ouija board, and this name came through, and they said that this spirit apparently came through, gave the name and the details and when they died and things like that, and said that they were linked to a person in the room, which was him, who wasn't touching the board at that point. Then a year later, he was at a different haunted location with a different ghost event company. A group of people used a Ouija board. He didn't use the Ouija board. And the same thing happened with the same name coming through the Ouija board, with this similar kind of message for him. Now, that kind of blows my mind, actually, because it was the same name, the same details in two different locations with two different groups of people. I find that really fascinating. So, yeah, he was telling me all about that. Very, very, very interesting, that. It'll take too long to explain here exactly what happened, but maybe I can discuss it with Rosy Cheeks here. Some bloody Rosy Cheeks. Cheeky sod. Thanks, Beardo. But yes, you're more than welcome. What's Mike's Mystery saying? The Ouija board does nothing. It's about the energy you put in, so it can be any object. There's definitely this whole thing about energies. And yeah, I think some people have talked, when we were doing it, it was all about, oh, you got to put the energy in, you got to spin it around and all of that kind of stuff. Still didn't work for me. Craziest thing I've seen of Ouija board is the board moving under the planchette. I was a witness, wasn't using it. This is the kind of stuff I love. The things which are harder to explain, I find really interesting. It's like exam invigilating, waiting around for kids to actually do something. Let's have a look. Hey, Kaza, again, thank you so much for the memberships. Growing up, we were told if you use a glass and saw a red spot appear, it meant you'd summoned a demon. Okay, don't believe it, though. I've never heard of the red spot thing before. Is that... In the chat, has any of you ever heard of that? That, if you see a red spot or an orb or something like that, where would the red spot be? In the air? On the table? On the Ouija board? But I've never heard of that, actually. That's fascinating. And other things like Ouija boards, like rolling the bones or voodoo, and a similar type of devices to use to draw in paranormal and get answers. My aunt does automatic writing and past life regression. Okay, cool. It's like, what's that? Kurt from Metallica has a Ouija board artwork on his guitar. Presumably, accidentally summons all kinds of demons when he plays. Yeah, I've got a Ouija board wallet, and it doesn't conjure anything out of my wallet. Moths. There you go. JT, it's all psychological. Someone yells barracuda, people will go, you yell shark, you'll have a panic on your hands on the 4th of July. That's yeah, that's a brilliant analogy. I love that. Thank you, JT. That's awesome. I'm loving these stories. I'd love to experience something from them. I'll keep doing them, but only at haunted events. I do have one, but only for decoration. Yeah, they look cool. They do. They look great. If nothing else, Ouija boards look cool. I've got to say. Maybe it's down to where the Ouija board came from. I think autumns carry energy from past owners. Yeah. This was a weird one, right? I mean, I'll just quickly go off track a little bit. I've said this before, but see, there's me and Dale doing this Ouija board thing in 10 different. This was at the Ancient Ram Inn when we did this one. And we used two different Ouija boards, neither of which worked in 10 of these different locations for this documentary. We not raffled them off. We kind of gave them off as prizes afterwards on our channel. And one group in the UK won, and a couple in America won. So we sent them both off. The people in America had this Ouija board that we signed for the documentary. Nothing happened. Nothing worked. Anyway, the couple contacted Zach Baggins's haunted museum in Las Vegas and said they were interested in buying it off them to display in the haunted museum in Las Vegas. That blows my mind. Anyway, right, okay. But yeah, that's very, it's like, what? That's just madness. Okay. Particularly when it didn't work. Do they have foreign versions of the board? Even in France and Germany, the alphabets are slightly different. Do you know what, Daily Boy? I don't know. If there's anybody from, I know there's a few people from around the world on this stream. Is the Ouija board absolutely the same? And I imagine there would be variations of the Ouija board for the different countries. I'm sure there would be. But yeah, I've never seen a Ouija board, let's say from France, Spain, wherever, because with the slight differences. Yeah, that'd be really. I honestly don't know that one. I've only ever seen the one that we all know. And think of all the Ouija boards they had to throw away just to misprints or cut wrong. Yep, you're dealing with demons on that one. With Ouija boards, even if something happens, how could you tell what it is? Because when you experiment with the board, you're also experimenting with psychic paranormal phenomena in general, I think. Yeah. I don't know. It's obviously there's a lot of psychology going on, but is there something else to it, which I find fascinating? Hey, Don't Scare Claire, how you doing? Hope you're good. Thank you for coming in. I'll be making some Ouija board coffee tables in autumn. Nice. Be burnt into pine using pyrography and then wax polished. Shameless plug, but yeah, bloody hell, Lou. Yeah, but no, that actually sounds really cool. Very nice. Good evening, Paranormal Shorts with John Fraser. Is it any different for one knock for yes, two for no? Ouija boards were a children's toy until the Exorcist movie made them scary. Absolutely. I think it is just a variation of exactly that. I think you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. That's essentially all it is, isn't it, really? Probably, I mean, is it just that though? Because at least, but I suppose the main issue with Ouija boards is you've actually got your hands on it. If it made two knocks and things without hands on it, I'd be much more impressed. Pam Spencer, one idea I've rolled around is that the idiot motor effect allows people to tap into subconscious and locate things, relate forgotten moments, etc. Yeah, I think it is. The psychology of it is fascinating, and I personally think a lot of the stuff you're getting is nonsense or is deep buried information or factual stuff from. It could have been from years back. Your brain is capable of remembering books and things that you have read years ago. So maybe your brain is just dredging up names, events, dates, and things like that it's previously been aware of, and you just lost that memory. Honestly, I think if it was created like a game like tarot cards, there's no harm other than what people believe, and belief and those who take it to extremes are more dangerous than a bit of fun. Fair enough. Absolutely. It's just going to just whiz down the chat a little bit. Good evening, Wayne Dawson. I've had a very strange experience involving a Ouija board, a rather long story, but one that has haunted my mind ever since. Oh, Wayne, you've got to tell us a bit more about that one. Blimey, seriously. It's going down, going down, going down. There you go. Things with us, we realized someone was pushing it, and then an argument broke out, and then the glass shot off the table, broke midair. Okay. See, I get the first bit. We realized someone was pushing it, then an argument broke out, and then the glass shot off the table, broke midair. I was 16 and didn't return to my parents' house for 2 years. That's pretty mad. That's amazing, actually. I really do like that. That's cool. Have you been able to rationally explain that event, though, Beardo? Or do you think it was just a case of have you misremembered it? Because again, psychologists say, well, you may have misremembered what actually occurred, or is it clear in your head what occurred? Right? Why don't people just wear blindfolds when using the board? That way, names can't be forced, can they? Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I've done that. I've done it blindfolded, and it is. We, fun enough, didn't get anything with blindfolds on either. Let's have a look. Roger Farmer happened after for years. We all thought we saw and heard things and always associated with that board. I still speak to some involved. They won't touch one even now. Okay, interesting. Ah, okay. So you saw the red spot in the glass. So if you saw a red spot in the glass itself, then you'd conjure up something demonic within the glass itself. Okay. That's fast. That's really fascinating. Like I said, I've not heard. I don't think I've heard that. Maybe I have, but no, I don't think I've heard that. Oh, when we were kids, you used to go to the bathroom lines off and say Bloody Mary 3 times. Supposedly a witch with a bloody face would appear. Oh, yeah. Got to love the Bloody Mary thing. And also there was, being a teacher, we had, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when you put 2 pencils on top of each other? Do you remember that one a few years back? And then the pencils would move, seemingly to yes and no. And the kids would freak out because I think it's a demon happening to their demonic activity happening to their pencils. Yeah, we had to have serious conversations as teachers to the kids about that event. But yeah, that seems to have died a death, thankfully. Can I have some heart snugs and prayers in chat from Mariah of the Occult Life? Oh, she's really rough them. Absolutely, Pomp. Yeah, please. I know I'm a bit behind on the chat, so if you've not done given hearts for Maria, absolutely, absolutely. Oh, love, Leah, loving the hearts from everybody. Thank you so much for that. Awesome. What's that? Monkey see, monkey do. Thank you, Sky Talker. I'm just gonna fabulous. Thank you, Amanda. Oh, lots of love for Maria. Thank you, guys. It says that she's doing such an amazing job. Was it with IVF? But it's beating her up big time. That's awful. Yeah, send lots of love to Maria. I just ate bananas, tasty. Why is it the letters O and A are missing from every board? Oh, I don't know. Is it? I thought it was the whole alphabet. Maybe I'm wrong. We watched a group do a Ouija board at an event. It came out with a number, which was very nearly a phone number of someone we knew who had recently passed. We kept quiet, but it was very odd. Yeah, like I say, it can absolutely be a very strange experience, and actually, it can feel quite frightening. In all honesty, it can feel quite frightening when you're doing it and you're getting seemingly a response, and I've seen people properly freak out when they're doing it because they are expecting nothing. Then all of a sudden, it's moving seemingly on its own, and it's this power of suggestion. I think it's 2 things. It's a couple of things. It's psychology, the expectation that they are there at a haunted location, expecting something to happen, and it's also the suggestion of the building or where they are, and I am more interested in things which can't be so easily explained, I suppose. Let's go down. Bloody hell, we're already on nearly 10 minutes left. Blimey. So those that experience a negative impact using the board, coincidence? Yeah. It is such a fascinating topic. It really is. What's Beardo saying? I don't know if it was my brain or whatever, but that Ouija board haunted me for years. I generally thought I had an attachment. Well, you would do, because obviously you've had something very scary occur, and you're left shaken by what had happened. You know, whether it would turned out to be genuine or not, it felt absolutely real to you. So yeah, you probably would feel as though something had happened, would be attached to you. I believe if anything really happens during a Ouija board session, it'll be something that might have happened. Hang on. It's something that might have happened if everything went the same without a Ouija board. Okay. Okay. I mean, like I said, I'm more interested in those things where it cannot be anybody touching the board. So, you know, if something's going on in the same room whilst a Ouija board session is going on, I find that really fascinating. There's a lot of misremembering of dates, times, and people, but we all remember that glass shattering mid-air and terrifying us. That's good. It's good that you don't have that false memory of what occurred. That's good. What's that? Yeah, I have done Ouija boards blindfolded. Yeah, I've done it Ouija boards blindfolded. I've done Ouija boards upside down and blindfolded. I've done Ouija board sessions on bits of paper where they've all been turned down and muddled up and turned upside down, so I couldn't see which letters. I've done every single way to try and prove that something paranormal is going on, and never once, particularly in the blindfold sessions and when you mix up the letters and the numbers, never once did I have anything which I thought was remotely paranormal occur. And the only time when something did occur, it was obvious. It was somebody else on the board, and it was obvious that they were pushing it. I've witnessed people play a game that released lots of African animals into the neighborhood. They roamed around. Oh my good God. Thanks, JT. Thank you. Bloody Jumanji. I do love Jumanji, though. It's a great film. Ever since I got Kenny Biddle's Ouija board, my home has been inundated with ghosts all lining up to use it. As it turns out, it's a telephone for ghosts. I'm going to have to start. Yeah, bloody Kenny. What's Pomps say? So if people say it's micro movements moving the planchette, wouldn't everyone's micro movements have to be in sync to guide it to specific letters? No, not necessarily. I think usually you will have one. Usually it's one main person that would be doing the micromuscular movements, and the others. I'm not saying the others are trying to stop it, because they don't. The others are just going with it. So that's how it tends to work. Because most people just essentially just go with it. And yeah. I've hang on. Weird Fox, I've just seen a comment. Was it Ghost can't get a bloody word in? I'm trying to read the chat as quick as I can. Anyway, a new discovery of artifacts of alien hieroglyphs and sarcophagus in Hidalgo, Mexico. They found a Ouija board with alien-like symbols. I've never heard of that. What's Tim say? Is there something special, or is any kind of ritual done when a Ouija board is produced that makes it open to the dark side? If you look on the internet, there are loads. I mean, we did this. There were loads and loads and loads of people offering different types of advice for ways to open a board, ways to close a board, ways to conjure, gather together the energy in order for a board to work. We tried a whole ream of them, and nothing seemed to work. And but we were just kind of going along with it, really. But yeah, that there is meant to be a set ritual, I suppose, to make things work, but they didn't really work for us. I've done Ouija board in complete darkness, only putting a torch on when the planchette came to a stop. Yeah, that's good. That's another way of doing it without you not being able to see any letters or numbers or anything. Lynn68. Ouija board stories like these in chat are more believable to me than people who seem to film and capture on camera. That's the way, I'm afraid, that's the way it goes at the minute. Yeah, when people have like genuinely scary experiences, it does make it much more interesting. Yeah, Kenny Biddle is quiet, isn't he, Roger? He is very quiet. I think Kenny Biddle realizes that, Ouija boards are real. and he can't face it with science. It's podcast activity if the planchette moves, so that's a rare occurrence. Be happy if it happens for you. I would love a planchette to move without me touching it. That's all I'll say. It's not happened yet. And no, I've been to places which are meant to have poltergeists. I'm still hoping stuff like that happens. We never used a board as such, just a coffee table and letters, etc., cut out of paper and a glass. Always things happened, unless your eyes are closed. Not demonic, but it can terrify people. Yeah, it can. I mean, I think people don't. I mean, people are very kind of dismissive of Ouija boards, thinking, but it's a crap. It's this, it's that, it's the other. It's a load of old rubbish. It's just a board. But when you're in an environment, let's say it's meant to be a haunted location with a group of people you don't necessarily know, and all of a sudden you've got this planchette moving all over a board, you start to doubt that skeptical side, and you start to think, oh my God, maybe there's something in this. What about light as a feather? Why does it still work? Has anyone ever thought of trying light as a feather in supposed haunted houses? I think people do try different things. I've seen most people do tend to, like I said, do they turn their hands upside down, so it's just the lightest touch of the nail doing it. Yeah, but I don't know what in terms of the light as a feather thing. I'm not sure. Anyway, what's just going down? Have you done Ouija board session in your pants? No, I have not. But thank you for that, Tim. But have you tried Ouija board with a flip flop? No. Thanks for whoever's talking about flip flops. Yes, I had a moment with a flip flop at East Drive, and no, I have not tried doing it with a flip flop. But thank you very much. Something she was telling me when she made the announcement live, people unsubscribed from her channel. Okay. What? Hang on. She was, something she was telling me when she made the announcement live, people unsubscribed from her channel. What, Maria? Bloody hell. What is wrong with people? Jesus Christ. Justin gets on a Ouija board, right? But nothing happens as the spirits can't get a bloody word in. Rude. Possibly fair. Occasionally, yeah, I know. Okay. Diane, that's a great idea. Yeah, at least we should make a white Ouija board out of the Scrabble board. At least you'll get points. There's got to be some benefits to it, surely, even if the planchette doesn't move. Get a triple word score. Ace. I do want to set a Ouija board and leave a camera on it and ask for it to move, and no one touches it to see if the planchette will move on its own. It's as good as it's a good a thing to try as any. You might as well. Why not? There you go. Mark's random curiosity is, what if the information coming from Ouija boards is tapping into the morphic resonance as opposed to the afterlife? Would people be as scared of them? Would skeptics be more open to explore them? That's fascinating. Yeah. I've seen a planchette move on its own before. No one touching it in Maine at a very old graveyard. My friend Josh never touched one again. That's the kind of stuff I want to see. Never had that. I want to see that. Justin doesn't want to be a seg and be behind the chat by miles. Absolutely not, Kaza. I'm trying to get through these. Thing is, with Seg, bless him, love him, but yeah, he does waffle, and he waffles more than me, so which is why he gets so far behind. But yeah, light as a feather is a different thing, Justin. What? I don't even know what light as a feather is. Oh, I do know the light as a feather thing. Yes, I do know what you're on about now. Sorry, I'm a bit slow. That's the thing where you try and lift somebody up like levitation, isn't it? Like a party thing, where you just do this with your fingers and then lift them. Yes, I do know what you mean. Yes, sorry. It's just me being very old. I apologize. But yes, I do know what you mean now. For a while, it's like, what the hell do you mean light as a feather? But yeah, I get it. Tim, what the bloody hell? I think this stream's going downhill. Hang on. Have you ever done a Ouija board whilst eating a frayed bent off steak and kidney pie? No. What? Anyway, moving on. Does certain times of year also affect the communication and what comes through? Hey, Becca Boo. Like the summer solstice and winter solstice. Um, I've done Ouija board sessions at during certain weather conditions. You know, like during a storm and things like that. Because people talk about it in a storm. It's meant to be more active, more energy. Therefore, if there's more energy, then there'll be more likely things coming through on a Ouija board. But to be honest, I never really had anything occur during different types of weather, like storm and lightning storms. But doing it during summer solstice or winter solstice might be an interesting one to actually try. You might as well try anything, really. Okay, wonder why the spirits need the energy of the living to move a glass, but apparently they're strong enough to throw things or slam doors. Exactly right. Exactly. That's and exactly why I've said, and I've done it before, where I've said, look, if there's something here, you don't need me to touch this Ouija board. You don't need me to touch this planchette. Just move it. Do it on your own. Off you go. And it never did. Then time you could use a double Z for Zozo if using Scrabble letters. Yeah, I think it's a good plan. A Ouija board version of Scrabble. I think it's definitely got I think on a winner there. Basically light as feathers, stiff as a board and lift people. Yeah. I know, don't worry, it's just me being slow. Yeah. I'm telling you how behind in the chat you actually are now. I'm not too far. How many? I am 1 minute behind the chat. That's nothing. Nothing. Considering I've had over 100 people for most of the chats, for most of the live, so that's going some. I'm telling Sarah how behind the chat you actually are now. No, for like 1 minute, I'm nearly there. Hey, Liam, good evening. I think did you say earlier that you would never do a Ouija board at your home, the home of the lady in the bay window home? Why not, Liam? It's nothing scary. Nothing going on. Can be explained by science. Thing is, I just know it's different. It's different when it's your own home, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably why, as much as, there have been sightings of a ghost, I can fully understand why you wouldn't want to go and make that extra step to having Ouija boards in there. Okay. I'll do the last few. Then we'll kind of wrap things up, I think. Ouija boards was it promoted or as contacting the dead because of the war, like seances in World War I, World War II inspired Ouija boards' popularity. Grief ghouls love death, especially the suffering survivors. Yeah, easy, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you look at the rise in spiritualism, completely linked to wars and death and grieving people. Absolutely. What's that? Like the stream, so Justin can be more inspired to get to your comment. Please do. Yeah, thank you very much. Please do subscribe. I've not said it yet, but Lee, if you're not subscribed, share this around, please. If you found it interesting this evening, so thank you so much. Thank you, but yeah, thank you everybody. Scrabble, yeah, there you go. Scrabble and Ouija boards are both Parker Brothers, so easily done. Are Scrabble, because obviously Ouija boards now owned by Hasbro. Is Scrabble owned by Hasbro? I would think they would be, because I think if they bought everything by the Parker Brothers, then they would be. Thank you, Becca Boo, for subscribing. Bless you. Thank you. Liam, not happening. Come on, Liam. Come on. Give it a go. What's the worst that can happen in a haunted location? Hey, do you know what? At least if something happened, if you used a Ouija board, easy book 3. Let's put it that way. Silver lining. Got your book 2 sorted. Book 3. Just, there you go. Just use a Ouija board to get plenty. All right. Okay. Right. I think I am very much nearly at the bottom of the chat. Thank you very much, guys. Okay. Let's have a look. Just read Liam's a second. I'm the same. Not sure I believe in them, but I wouldn't want to find out. I've done them before. Go on, Liam. Go on. What's the worst that can happen? Anyway, Dark Valve. Anyway, yeah, okay. Phew. I think, let's get rid of this overlay a second. I think we're about there. I think we're all done. Thank you so much. It's been a bit of a whistle stop tour. I've just felt as though I've just talked all the way through that and just try and got through as many comments as I could. Thank you if you left a comment. Thank you so much. If you are watching this on catch up, or please do put in the comments, what do you think of Ouija boards? You know, are they demonic? Is there something to it? Are they completely fake? What is your experience? If you've had any weird experiences, and particularly if you've barely touched it, or something happened in the same location as when you've been doing the Ouija board, something weird occurred, please try and put it in the chat. It'd be fascinating. Thank you so much, all of you guys, all the, like, I think we had like 120, 130 odd people at one point. Thank you so much for your comments. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been awesome. Phew. Yeah, I think this is the kind of debate that can run and run and run. Just to let you know very quickly, on Monday, I've got a guest called a lady called Charlie Hall, who is a writer, brand ambassador for Haunted Magazine. She's also a musician, and she's also a medium. And yeah, so she is going to be my guest on Monday. And yes, and then I've got some interesting guests coming up. There is, for anybody who's not looked into it yet, there is going to be a new documentary series called The Supernatural UK. That's coming up, so we're going to do a premiere of that in July. And then thanks to the lovely Weird Fox as well, who sorted the booking for this one. Later on in September, absolutely, we do have the lovely Anna and Kieran O'Keefe are coming back on this podcast. So that is something to look forward to in the future as well. So, and also there's loads and loads. We are booked up now from now till I'm taking bookings from mid-September, October now. So that's really good. So thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody. Enough waffling from me. Yeah, thank you for all your comments. Hope you've enjoyed it tonight, and I shall see you again very, very soon. All right. Have a great night. Night.